You guys all set? Yeah. Here we go.
is Leslie Sisson. I lead and write and all the things for Moving Panoramas from Austin, Texas. I think that I was born with a drumstick in my mouth. I'm just kidding. No, but my father is a musician, so I've been playing music ever since I can remember. And we had a music room growing up, and my father, and my mother, played piano, so it just came from a musical family. And I think in my early 20s, I started playing rock bands that were actually doing things and touring, and just snowballed from there. But the one thing that my father always taught me was, yes, you can do music, but you also need to make sure that you have a way to make money so that you don't put all your eggs in that basket, and then you'll enjoy music more. So, for sure. And that's it. Like I teach music now and music business to kids in college, and that's kind of my philosophy too, is that follow your dreams, but make sure that you can feed yourself somehow. Yeah. But yeah, he's still my best friend, my biggest fan, and I play music because of my dad.
You talk about coming from your family that is musical and now creating a family with your band. So tell me how your band came to be.
I was always kind of a sidearm in bands, like a guitar player, backup singer, harmony, whatever. I was just in other people's bands for a lot of my 20s and 30s. And I toured all over the continental U.S. and Europe, and even got to go to Asia. And I never really thought I would front my own band. And then my mother passed away right after I had gone on this tour with a band called the Wooden Birds, and it changed my life. And she was living in Austin here in a house that I purchased when I was in college, and I was living in New York at the time, and I had just said goodbye to her and got on an airplane and then landed and found out she just passed away unexpectedly, so I had to turn around and come back. And I had to kind of pick up the pieces in the house, and then while I was there, I was the victim of a home invasion where a man broke in and drugged and kidnapped me just randomly, running from the cops. And I had just started teaching music at School of Rock, and I was just trying to figure out, what am I going to do? Am I stay in Austin and be closer to my family? Because now that, when you lose a family member, especially your mom, you realize I need to be closer to my family and be home. And I dealt with a lot of PTSD, and but teaching music, I had to force myself out of the house to go teach music to kids, and I felt safe in that environment. And it was, I'm just teaching them like the White Stripes or the Beatles or AC/DC, but for whatever reason, I'm just like feeling grounded, and that's, music therapy. Music was the therapy that kind of helped me heal, all along with actual therapy. And then it wasn't immediate, it wasn't like overnight, but I started writing songs that were about it, and that turned into this band. And we're gonna record like 3 songs, and then it turned into a record, and then we got a label, and then snowball, and then this band was built out of catharticism and out of trauma and out of healing, and I'm very grateful for that. I never really thought that I would be managing a band of my own. I learned a lot from all the other bands that I toured with over the decades, and it's not easy, but it's such a gift. And yes, I built this wonderful family. These people that I play with are family.
You talked about the heart of the inception of how your band came to be, but I also want to know, what are your influences now in making music?
I am hugely inspired by the artists in this town, in Austin. And we're so lucky to be in a city that it's gotten harder because things have gotten more expensive and venues have changed and all the things, but we seem to be overcoming it. And I'm inspired by my friends more than anything. And just going to see my friends play at local venues and, watching them start from just begging for a show to touring the world now. And I'm just like, golly, we are so lucky to be in this town that just embraces all this unique, diverse art, and all these artists that are just I've never heard of this person. They're so wonderful. I'm so surprised. Every day I find out about a new band just in Austin that I'm like, wow, this is great. And I'm a fan of the music in this town. And I think the music in this town is what has inspired me to keep going. And I think my sound has kind of changed a little bit. We're less psychedelic-y now, and I'm feeling a little bit more, pedal steely, a little bit more bootgazy, a little bit more, country, but a little bit shoegaze country. I don't know. I like to make up genres, and when I put a record out, and I think I'm calling this genre, this phase of our band, yeah, like we're calling it heavy mellow, but.